Hi everybody, my name is Dietzenbach. Some of you might know me as Megan Celeste, but I recently got married, so changed my name. Anyway, I would like to thank you guys all for coming in today. I hope you guys enjoy the tour, but before that gets started, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Sherlock Shrimp and what we all have going on here, and kind of what I do day to day, and a little bit about the different kinds of shrimp farming and stuff like that. But anyway, Sherlock Shrimp here is owned by Jeff and Cheryl Ryan. They bought this business a couple years ago, and they decided to put it here in the Ridgeway School. That's why we're all here. Cheryl was a nurse for a long time. She worked at Mayo Clinic, and she lives here in Ridgeway, so it's kind of a long haul back there and forth. So she was just looking for something different, and they saw an article online about shrimp farming, so they thought they'd call a couple people and see if they can find out a little more information, and they did, and they found out it was a good thing, and so they bought the Ridgeway School here, and here we are, we have a shrimp farm. So anyway, most of you, what we do here is called inland shrimp farming. Most of you probably heard of, the shrimp farming where they go out in the ocean and they have their big boats and they got their nets and their drags, and they, what they do out there is they have a big net with a drag and they pull it across the bottom of the ocean. They have enough weight on their net so it gets under the mud and muck a little bit, because what the shrimp like to do is they like to burrow themselves in the mud, and they like it dark, and they kind of feed off the bacteria and stuff at the bottom of the ocean. So that's kind of how they live there. And so they'll drive a little bit with their boats, and they'll pick up all the shrimp, and then they'll pull it up and see what they got. Anyway, here what we have is, on this side of the building is how we started it with. We have swimming pools over here, and this side is new. This is only about a year old. This is our tiered system. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about both. You'll see them both as we walk through and everything. But so over here, this is how we started. We have our swimming pools. They're just intact swimming pools like you'd see in some kid's backyard. Nothing special or anything. When we got it, when we started off, we filled all the pools with fresh water. We put in there some molasses, some of the shrimp feed, and a couple scoops of what we called easy biofloc, which is gonna help grow our biofloc, which was what we want in the tank. I'll talk a little bit about that later, but that's what we do when we start. Over here is our, this is our tiered system. So what we have over here is we have the small shrimp go on the bottom, and then, or small shrimp go on the top, excuse me. And then after about a month, they get dropped to the next level. We have PVC pipe with gripper plugs in there, and we'll just unloosen them and pull them up, and then all the shrimp jump down to the next level. So that's how we do that over there. So a lot of people ask me what my day-to-day life here is like, and it's kind of hard to explain. Every day is a little bit different, but the main thing that I do here is I am the chemistry person. I'm the early bird of the crew. I'm here at like 5 or 6 in the morning. It's really hot in here, so I like to get here early and get out of here before it gets too hot in here. So the first thing I do when I get here in the morning is I write out our book. We kind of just have like a notebook, and I write all the tests I'm going to do that day, and I make columns and stuff like that. And I do that first. And then the first test that I do of the day is the pH. So I'll go and get my monitor. It's just kind of like a little rectangular thing. I should have brought it here, but and it's got a probe sticking out the side. So what I do is I take it and I throw the probe in the water, and I just hit the measure button, and it just goes to work for me. It just starts going, and it'll finally land on a number, which is my pH, and it'll also tell me the temperature of each tank. And that's really important, so we kind of have a steady temperature throughout, every day, and the heater didn't stop working, and we didn't know about it. So that's kind of where we do the temperature. Then the second test that I do every day is the DO, which is kind of the same thing. It's a circle meter with a probe at the end, and I dump that in there, and I kind of move it back and forth until that kind of tries to lock in on a number. And a DO, it's dissolved oxygen is what it is. So I will test that every day, and it'll also give me a number of the saturation, and that is the saturation of the tank, how oxygen saturated the tank is. So that is the other test that I'll take. And then, well, those are the 2 tests that we take every day, Monday through Sunday. And then, besides that, we also take other tests. On Mondays, I always take the ammonia test. The ammonia test, it's the longest test I take. It's 15 minutes long. What I do is I go and I get 5 milliliters of water from the pool, and then I will, there's 3 different agents in here, and I will dump each agent in, well, one at a time, and then you shake it for 10 seconds, and the next agent, and that's how that one works. The ammonia level, we don't want high. I mean, that's bad. Once it starts to spike, it can start killing off shrimp, and we don't want that at all. So ammonia levels, if they start to creep up, we'll add molasses to react that ammonia in the tank. Another test that I take often is the nitrate test, which are these little pills. You put one in each vial, and you smash it up, and then you put it in the photometer over there, and it will read the number. The nitrates, it's okay if we have some. We don't want a lot. Once we start to climb up, that's bad. It's not good. And when the nitrates start to climb, there's a few things that we can do. We can add molasses to the tank. That's something that will bring down the nitrates. But the problem with adding molasses, same with when you add it to lower the ammonia, is the molasses eats up the oxygen in the tank. Gradually it'll increase again, but if you have a smaller pool like we have up in our tiered system, those 2 small pools, it will start to eat up the oxygen. So we have to, there's certain calculations that we have to do so we don't add too much. So another test, so that's the nitrate test. And if you add molasses, you can also add what we call Purgen bags, which is these little bags with these white little pebbles in there, and it kind of sucks up the nitrates in the tank. So we also do that. And then another thing that we do is water dilutions. So we'll pump some of the bad water out of the tank, and we'll just pump in fresh new water. So that's another thing. And then another test that we will take, well, if these tests are high, we will continue to take them throughout the week until we get them down to a manageable level. So that's something that we're always doing. We're always checking to see if there's something we got to retest or anything like that. That's a constant. On Wednesdays, I take the alkalinity test, which those are probably the easiest tests that we take. It's a little pill like the nitrate test, and you just dump it in the vial, you smash it up, and that one only takes a minute. So usually on Wednesdays, I can kind of fly through those and then take the other tests that I need to retake. Another really important test that we take, which is probably one of the most important, is our bioflak test. And that's what this cone here is for. What we'll do is we'll go up to a pool and we'll dip some water out, and our bioflak, the bioflak that is in here, will start to settle to the bottom. We don't want too much of it, but we need enough in there so that the shrimp have other things, a secondary source to feed on, because the bioflak is another source of feed to them. So there's some shrimp farms out there that all they will feed their shrimp is the bioflak. They won't throw any feed in there. They'll just have them feed off the bioflak. But we don't do that. We feed them. We want them to grow fast, so we feed them. The bioflak, though, we can kind of run into some issues. I kind of refer to it like as an algae. Last year I worked at the Howard County Conservation Board, and we always seem to have some issues with our Lake Hendricks and having a brown algae bloom. The issue with the algae of the bioflak is it's a bacteria, and it'll start to compete with the shrimp for the oxygen. So we'll start running low on our oxygen, and that's because our bioflak's getting too high. So if that becomes a problem, we'll have to, what we call sludge collectors on the tanks, and we'll turn those on, and it'll kind of, we can show you later, but it'll settle out the bioflak in this separate tank, and we'll go around every day and shot back it out, and it'll do that. But so that's kind of what I primarily do here. As we walk through, we'll kind of show you what we do. We also raise tilapia here, so tilapia are a lot easier than shrimp, though. They're more tolerable to different levels of stress and things like that. But Right now, does anybody have any questions for me? No? Well, if you have questions along the way, I mean, me or Greg or Cheryl or Josh will be around. Well, Cheryl will be showing you around, but if you have questions, we'll be around here if you have anything else. So, I'd like to thank you for listening to me. I have a final project for school, so that's what this is going for. But thank you, everybody.